Can you hear me? Hello, Alloa. You're a chirpy bunch, aren't you? Because normally people are getting tired by this time of day. You've got the wine. So we've got our panel now of interesting guests that I just want to talk to for about 5 years. It's been amazing, hasn't it? Have you stopped greeting yet? I need my glasses because I can't see anymore. Right, so we've got questions. Thank you very much to everybody for submitting your questions. And I had them in a kind of sensible order, but we'll just go with what we've got now. I need a wee man. When I'm at the O2, I'll have a wee man to keep me right. So the first question I've got is quite a good one to start on. What grassroots action do you want women here to take away from today? Whoa. Who wants to lead with that? Say again. Stalls in the street. Yeah. Out in the street, talk to the women. What? Next Saturday where? Motherwell.
I think that it may not sound like a great action, but we need to talk more about us. It sounds pretty simplistic, but we need to talk about us women and own that and be, taking the ownership of our anger and take it further and be right about it because we're right to be angry.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Thanks. Before I answer the question, thanks for that lovely welcome, and thanks to Forth Valley Feminists for inviting me and for organising such a great event. And I only got here about 2 o'clock, but everything I heard this afternoon was really, really interesting and really fascinating, and it's great to be surrounded by so many strong women. And I suppose what I really want to say is a quick shout out to Marion, because I think what Marion and For Women Scotland have done is really quite phenomenal, and what they've faced and the kind of abuse they've faced, I know what that's like, and to keep going and to have had such a significant court victory. And I think that decision in your case will be significant, and my prediction would be that if the Scottish Government appeal it to the Supreme Court, they'll lose in the Supreme Court as well. And I think it's extraordinary that governments across the United Kingdom, and British governments doing this as well, are legislating about gender when they aren't actually prepared to define in law what gender means. So I think For Women Scots' work and all the people who supported them and donated to them could prove ultimately to be quite important legally. So even if we lose the political battle in the short term, we may win in the long run, particularly as a result of the law. But anyway, lovely to be here. What I want to say in answer to the question is there's an election coming up in this country, local elections, and lots of people are going to be wanting your vote and the vote of women who aren't as well informed about these issues as we are yet. So I would say the most important grassroots action is, as the women at the back of the hall said, street stalls, leafleting, reaching women who aren't on social media, older women, of which now I think I'm actually part of that cohort now, shocking as I find that. And also going to hustings during the election. There will be hustings. And, put people on the spot and, have your checklist, look at sites like For Women Scot, look at their Twitter feed, look at Fair Play, look at Sex Matters, get your bullet points together and be able to ask people well-focused questions. Ask your candidates if they know what a woman is. Ask them if they can define gender. And also, remind your SNP candidates, I'm not speaking against party policy by criticising self-ID, because the manifesto never committed the SNP to self-ID. It committed us to reforming the Gender Recognition Act, and Murray Blackburn Mackenzie have done some quite interesting blogs on what you could do to reform it without opening it up to self-ID. So SNP candidates are not speaking against the manifesto if they question self-ID. In fact, they're speaking for the manifesto because the manifesto promised to listen to women and to listen to lawyers and to listen to groups like the Equality and Human Rights Commission. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so here's a question. What is a woman? Marion.
Adult human female. That's it, full stop.
Yes, I think that's fairly succinct. Do we need to start again with female-only support, Dr. M?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I always request female-only medical care. I don't know what doctor, what nurse is using pornography, and I suggest absolutely every woman needs to go in and keep requesting female-only. Like, if you have a problem, you need a police officer, you want a female police officer, and explain it's because I'm a woman, is because I've suffered male trauma. So, yeah, totally and utterly do it. Female-only.
Advice for parents whose daughter thinks she might be trans. Mara.
Well, I'm the mother of 3 children. One of them is a daughter. She's only 10. And I have to say I have prepared myself for this. I think that the issue is so close that I already had that discussion with a fellow mother. I think I will try to change the way not me, but a lot of people are seeing this. They are seeing this as the equivalent of accepting sexual orientation, and this to me is not that. This is accepting the rejection of self. And I think that's how I will approach it, with lots of love, with lots of understanding, but also with discussions about where this is coming from. And I'm already having those discussions about what is gender and what is sex to ensuring it's going in, hopefully. But yeah. Thank you.
You hang on to it. Stella O'Malley's got a podcast where she addresses this, and one of them, it's called Gender Through a Wider Lens, and it's with another psychologist, and they recommended trying to widen your child's horizon, because what I notice with people that gender becomes an issue is it becomes all the issues, and people become almost professional trans people. And you'll end up working in that role, and you volunteer in that role, and you only wear rainbow. And there's nothing wrong with that, but people need to have a broad range of experience, especially when they're young. So she recommends going climbing and family activities and board games and all the things that your teenagers really, really don't want to do. But what teenagers ever wanted to spend time? And I think that's probably useful, and get them off social media.
Yeah.
So if it's something you're looking for information for, that podcast is helpful. So what? Menopausal eyeballs. And teeth. Menopause affects your teeth. Oh my God, I could go on. What inspired you or gave you the self-belief to stand up today?
My erasure as a woman and as a lesbian.
That's also succinct. Yes. There is a point, isn't there? There is a tipping point where you think, enough. If you didn't hear downstage right, fuck this. Oh my God, there's such brevity in this house. Love it. What will be the turning point, and will we see it in our lifetime? Caroline.
That's a really, really tough question. I actually think we're very close to the tipping point. At least I like to think that we are. I think that all of the suggestions, there are an army of women out there, and street stalls and the Soul Sisters cards are just fantastic. I know little old ladies that are so enraged that every morning when they go into the local newsagents or the supermarket, they're slotting in the Soul Sisters cards into the newspapers and the TV magazines. And we still have an awful lot of work to do, but the street stalls, there's a massive change in the public awareness just in the last 12, 18 months. That's my experience out on the street stalls. Talk to your family. It's about making people aware. That BBC poll recently, I can't remember the exact figure, but there was clearly a significant number of respondents that didn't have a clue about what's going on, so we still have a lot of work to do. And another suggestion, just going back to one of the previous questions, is if you've got a little bit of funds and you can get some leaflets printed, get them printed and get them put through the doors, especially anybody here who will be out on the campaign trail. I know that for the Holyrood election, I snuck some For Women Scotland leaflets in when I was campaigning for my party. So every little thing counts.
Caroline, how do you find out when the hustings are? Excuse my ignorance, like how do you know?
You just have to keep an eye on local radio, local paper, social media. They're not always, if you're in a political party, you tend to get notice, but the ordinary people wouldn't necessarily know. I know where I am in Western Bartonshire, they're advertised in the local papers.
Thank you. Check your community councils. Organise them.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could organise one.
Yeah.
You just invite them along.
Yeah.
Invite all of them.
You invite them along, so, I mean, I can really speak from my experience in general elections. It tends to be community councils and churches that generally organise the hustings, but anyone can organise a hustings. You invite all the candidates along, and if people refuse to come, because it's you advertise the fact that they've refused to come. These people are refusing to come and answer questions from women. So, and remember also, there will probably be national TV hustings again now with party leaders, and you can apply to be in the audience of those hustings, and this is a very topical subject which I suspect producers will want people in the audience to ask about.
So what's going through my head is a hustings in my front room, and I've got a wee cookie cutter that's vulvas. I'll make them vulva biscuits and ask them difficult questions. That'll be fun. Alex Cole Hamilton's one of mine. God help him. So this is a question that is for one panel member. What was it like, and I've been told I can read out exactly what's on this card. What was it like working with that cock Jolyon on the prorogation of Parliament?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to say anything publicly critical of Jolyon. Suffice to say that Jolyon and I do not see eye to eye on the issue of women's rights. But to answer the question honestly, before we parted ways on that topic, it was a pleasure working with Jolyon on the prorogation case and on the Article 50 case that I was involved in beforehand, the one that Andy Whiteman led. And it was Jolyon who offered me the opportunity to be the lead petitioner, because there were lots of people, lots of other MPs who were interested in the case, but had slightly cold feet. But I felt it was a strong case. But if it wasn't for Jolyon, I wouldn't be the lead petitioner, and I wouldn't have got my name on probably the most famous constitutional law case of all time, which is quite nice for me, really. But I can tell you that many of the people who subsequently co-opted the prorogation victory as part of their narrative were nowhere to be seen when the risks were being taken, whereas Jolyon was there to be seen when the risks are being taken. So I hope people will understand. I know there'll be people in this audience who are very angry with Jolyon, But I'm not going to slag him off publicly, because when I worked with him, we worked really well together, and I found him a respectful man to work with, and certainly had no problem with me as a woman or a lesbian. But, you know, I'm not going to say what I think of the stance he's taken now, but I'll say in general terms, I think, you know, and I'm not talking about Jolyon now, but I'm talking in general terms about some of the attempts to shut down people on our side of the argument, and I'm thinking of Mermaid's attempt to have LGB Alliance's charitable status removed, and the attempt to have the status of the Equality and Human Rights Commission as an A-listed national human rights institution taken away. It's absolutely despicable way to go about conducting your politics. And it's not just the cancellation of people, it's the concerted attempts to destroy people, you know, to destroy someone's professional reputation. I've had it, they've tried to do it to me, and they're very annoyed it hasn't succeeded. But this kind of, it's the worst kind of McCarthyism and the worst kind of Stalinism. And I think in years to come, after the tipping point comes, people will remember us for standing up against this. Because if that sort of Stalinism and McCarthyism succeeds in this field of debate, then it will move into other debates. It's already poisoning my political party, you know, and I feel very upset about that. And so I think it's really, really important to stand against it. But I'm not going to say anything bad about Jolyon, because I hugely enjoyed working with him in the past.
And that's why they get annoyed with you, because that was a very good answer. There's an awful lot of SNP politicians would have got themselves into trouble there. Well done. And it's also why I'm not a politician, because I'd go, well, do you know what he said? Oh my God. Man. It's hard to clean a kimono. The hand wash. If it's too hot, that water, your silk goes crunchy. It's no good at all. I'm sure it's not him that does the washing. Anywho, he's lovely to work with. Thank you. How can we protest the census without breaking the law? That's one for you, Marion.
Right, I do have to be careful with this one as well. Right, what we've asked is for everyone to request a paper copy. The reason being that's just a pain in the backside for them to start with. So that one, we're in a winner anyway, just being a bit of a pain. Within that, now it's obviously up to the individual about how you would like to fill out what you would like to fill out. There is a box that can be filled out under religion. Now, this doesn't work if you're coming from a religious background and you want this to be shown. But however, we'd like for those who aren't having any strong feelings about putting anything down there, would be a believer in biology. Now, for those who maybe don't want to do that and would like to have their religion recorded, the fact that you have a paper copy means that you can write in the margins, you can write upside down. Literally, turn upside down, write in it. You can put a letter within that. You could also choose not to send it in by that date. You will get someone at your door that will come and actually ask you to help fill you out. That is completely up to yourself. But that will happen. And as an organisation, we would not ask anyone to currently break the law in this. But there's ways and means to actually make your feelings known. So ask for a paper copy, use the margins, use some form in this to kind of show that in 100 years' time, when your great-granddaughters, your great-great-granddaughters are on the equivalent of who am I, or who's my, who my people are. What was that kind of program? Who do you think you are? Yeah. And they look back, and everyone wants to look back and find that their great-granny was a suffragette or was someone. We won't be able to look back and actually kind of go, yes, my family member wasn't stupid. I knew what sex was. Thank God. Yeah, rather than embarrassment of going, oh God, no, my family member didn't actually, oh geez, that's really embarrassing, turn the camera off. So yeah, there's so many things that you can do with that. I mean, there's a few threads on our kind of Twitter threads. I will give you some other ideas. That's up to yourselves. I wouldn't necessarily promote them personally, but there are certainly different ways to actually put across your strong feelings on that gender is crap.
Thank you, Marion. If you're worried about being embarrassing, I dress as a vulva. I am the most embarrassing mother in the whole of Christendom. And I decided that I would do sex ed and went into my children's school to do it. It didn't occur to me. And then eventually, after 3 years, my daughter's like, Mum, really, no. And now she lives far, far away in England. Dr. M, what do you think our most significant challenge is right now?
At the moment, our most significant challenge is making sure that we protect the definition of women or woman in law. Right? If anyone can identify as a woman, we're not going to have any rights. We don't, like, any discrimination act that we go up for it's hollow. Everything is hollow. And then next to that, I think it's pornography. I genuinely do. I think the reason men, particularly, have been so ready to accept this, well, gender ideology is because to them, they watch porn. We're a collection of bits and pieces. We're not fully human individuals with dreams and aspirations and philosophies. Like, no, that's it. We're just there for their pleasure and there for their use. So we have to challenge porn.
Thank you. Yeah, I do agree. I wonder as well if that ties into passing, because I'm always surprised by some of the trans women that do believe that they pass and do believe that I can't tell.
All that passing is the boner test. Would I fuck it? That's, you know, women are more important. Like, can I get an erection? Like, yeah.
Answer, no. Yeah, what's going through my head is, what is no? Anyway, that's how I know that I'm not a man. What is the worst thing that you've been chased by, Belstaffie?
Okay, right. The worst thing that I've been chased by is a very angry punter in his van as I'd taken a photograph of him. Yeah, that was terrible. He cut my van off and I had to gob out the window at him, telling him, fuck off, nonce, he's all over the internet, fuck off. He didn't, oh God, sorry. He didn't actually click I was a woman, and I think that's the only thing that saved me. But an angry punter who had been stopped from getting his cock up and doing something dreadful.
Yes, but he didn't get out of his van and run.
Pardon?
He didn't get out of his van and run.
No, thank God.
It's hard to do that with a stiffy. I know. It's all right, that's my nose. Apparently. Although watch out for women's sports near you soon. I'm having a lovely time. Like, chairs are supposed to speak less than everybody else. Mara, why do we have so few female obstetricians?
Okay, this is a problem in birth. This is not true. We have more female obstetricians. We watch too many movies about what birth is like. Honestly, we always see a doctor, male doctor in a movie, attending the hysterical woman in labor. And that's one of the facts that is not true. There is more female obstetricians. So when I was talking earlier about male in obstetrics, is the history of obstetrics is very male-dominated, and they actually had to make themselves useful and valuable and so on. And one of the things they did, you're gonna like this fact, because women didn't want them in their labors and they didn't want the obstetricians taking over their midwives, they had to dress as women. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, there's data out from the Royal College of Gynecologists that say that 98% of new recruits into specialism of gynecology and obstetrician are now female. So hopefully that'll make a significant difference. Yeah. Although obviously some women can be misogynists. But I'm trying to be tactful. Did you see me being tactful there? Almost a politician. To have potential. Right, Caroline, what grassroots action do you... Sorry. Am I kidding? What grassroots action do you want women here to take away from today?
As I said earlier, write to your MSPs. Some of them will ignore you, but it doesn't matter. You've got evidence that you've written to them. What's been said, attend hustings, street stalls, chalk on walls. I'm not the best person to ask this question because I'm at the point where I have no fucks left to give and I'm prepared to be arrested.
Caroline, I think you'll find you've got endless fucks. Who thinks she does? I do. These women don't give up. You get to the end of your fuck and you find a bit more fuck. You're right. You tell. Right, Joanna, what is your favourite song, book, or joke?
Right, okay.
Actually, I'll give you that one. Sorry, you read that.
My favourite song is Dancing Queen by ABBA. My favourite book is The Sea about by Iris Murdoch, which is about obsessive love, so read into that what you will. I'm not sure about my favourite joke, but one of the other questions you showed me on that, I could say my favourite celebrity anecdote.
Woo.
Well, I have a number of celebrity anecdotes, but my favourite celebrity anecdote is just before Christmas, I got up one morning in my wee flat in London, did my LFT test just as I was about to go out the door, didn't really think anything of it, looked at it after 10 minutes and it had gone positive. And I was like, oh, because I had a really, really busy day coming up, so I went off and got a PCR test, and it was positive as well. So then I had to fill out track or trace. And one of the questions on the track or trace form was, how many people and have you had skin-on-skin contact with in the last, I think it was 3 days, and who are they? So the first person was obviously my girlfriend. But thereafter, I had been at a party in London on the Monday night, which was organised by Hacked Off, which is a campaign run in favour of independent press censorship by Hugh Grant. You know where this is going. And of course, I have previously met Hugh Grant. He says I'm his favourite SNP MP, and I should be the leader of the SNP. Anyway, I hadn't seen him throughout the whole pandemic, and I hadn't seen him since I got the sack from the front bench and everything, so he gave me a big cuddle. And he gave me a huge hug, and I was like, oh God, my straight sister's going to scratch my eyes out. So the result of this was that I had to put on my track or trace form that I'd had skin-on-skin contact with Hugh Grant. And I could just imagine the person going, who is this sad, middle-aged woman, absolute fantasist? Anyway, there were 2 others, but I'm not going to tell you who they were.
Can we guess who they weren't?
They were not members of the SNP Westminster group.
So also on that very good question was, what is your weirdest fact? So, Belstaffie, do you have a weird fact to share?
Oh, God. Yeah, I have loads, but only one I'm going to share. Yeah, weirdest fact is I've got 2 birth certificates. One real one and one a legal fiction one. So that's my weird fact. How come? Okay. My mother came from the Isle of Man in the 60s to a mother and baby home, had me, put me up for adoption. My name and everything was changed, so I have to do birth certificates because of that. Yeah. Weird fact, and it's the only one you're getting.
So there's nothing original in the world about having more than one birth certificate?
Absolutely not, no. Old hat, legal fiction.
Dr. M, have you got a weird fact for us?
I think my weirdest fact is that Owen Jones hasn't blocked me. I'm his dirty little secret.
Oh, my weird fact is that Nicola Sturgeon absolutely loves me. My weird fact is I grew up, my dad was working in Barra and they were building a pier at North Bay in Barra. And I was 15. I have 2 brothers of a similar age, and they got to go to work every Saturday and got paid a small fortune on building sites. And I was raging because my dad said, you can't come because we don't have facilities for girls. But he promised me that during the school holidays, I could go up to Barra with him and he would pay me to cook for him. Anyway, I ended up getting paid. He was an explosives expert, which was a bit strange because he's an Irish man and he's a Republican. But he was an explosives expert. And he would set all of the devices and then he would let me push down the plunger. And I loved that.
My weird fact is I won, and I have won, multiple awards for my hula dancing. This is true. Yeah. Oh, God. Right. No, I need the mic. Right, okay. Right. Most people don't know I actually grew up in Hawaii. That's a weird one. So when I was born here in Scotland, but because of my dad's job, he was an astronomer, we moved over to the big island in Hawaii. So I had a lot of my life, and sometimes you can hear a bit of American twang come out. And it's not because of the far right, kind of Christian thing. It's because my dad was an astronomer. I mean, that's it. Yeah. So anyway, at school, just as you do here in Scotland, and you learn to do various types of dancing for your kind of living. So as a kind of young person, young women in Scotland, in Hawaii, in hula, we learned to do the hula. So get up. Everyone up. Okay, so yeah, so this is a standard one that everyone learns at school in Hawaii. All right? Okay, so follow me. I'm going to be able, I don't know if you'll be able to hear me, but I can't use the mic at the same time, so I'll put it down. So shake that out, shake out your hips, okay? And we're going to go well, you're going to my left, your right. So we're going to two steps to the left and 2 to the right. So that's all you're going to be doing. And then we're going to put the arms in, okay? Okay. So we're going to go fishing, right? So ready? Okay. Oh, we're going to a hooky, a hooky, a hooky low. Everybody loves a hooky low. Well,
Repeat, I'm having a lovely time. I've seen meetings for people that are interested in trans activism, and they're not like this.
Can I go?
Please do, Mara.
I wasn't sure what was my weirdest fact. I got it. I danced hula in front of a Scottish audience. Thank you for that.
I have a weirdest fact, and it's about vaginas, and nobody's surprised. If anybody ever tells you that your vagina is baggy and terrible, they're a liar, because the walls lean against each other. The world's biggest vagina belongs to the blue whale, and it's long enough to put a double-decker bus into, but only deep enough to put a double bed into. Go figure. Thank you, panel. Oh, now the next one's for me. I know chairs are supposed to talk less. Pelvic floor tips to remember your exercises. Oh, I know. I would recommend that you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll nag you. I'm at Gusset Grippers, and when I tweet, you twitch your twinkle. And it's all evidence-based, and actually there's some woman popped up from social media, and she's doing a PhD, and she's proved that what I do works, which is just gold. Yeah, I know I've got 2 PhDs that are mentioning me talking about pish. I'm so proud. So proud. My daddy's going to love me. So to remember to do it, there's a very good app you can get called Squeezy that's NHS endorsed, and it'll remind you. And or set an alarm in your phone 3 times a day, or do it when you put the kettle on, or something you do a lot. Even brushing your teeth twice a day is better than nothing. And the thing about 3 times a day is just what the evidence says. Like, sometimes people get better just by thinking about it on occasion. I'm not even joking. Right, okay. Panel, especially for Kate. Hang on, which one's Kate? We don't have a Kate. Who asked it about the toaster? Where do you keep it, on the worktop or the cupboard? Oh. Come on, Kate.
I keep it on the counter like a normal person.
Is there a rule about turf toasters that I don't know about?
I didn't know.
Is
Really?
a viral tweet about fucking toasters? That sounds a bit Burnley. Okay, so mine's not in a cupboard. Right, panel, how can we help and support women in Ukraine? Does anybody have any ideas? Because I'm at a bit of a loss. Apart from sending them money now.
Thank you for that rather strange greeting. Seriously, I suppose what I was going to say is something to really bear in mind about helping women in Ukraine, which is, in the past, many of us will have been involved in collections of second-hand clothes, medical items, sanitary items, etc., to send to places like the jungle in Calais and abroad to various disasters. Thanks to Brexit, that is now a very difficult thing to do. And I discovered this when a charity in my constituency had a big consignment of stuff they were trying to send to refugees on Lesbos out through the European Union. And it's all to do with customs and tariffs and things, but to just explain, particularly with clothes, if you think about most clothes now, a lot of them are made out with the European Union in the Middle East or the Far East. And so those second-hand clothes come up against rules of origin rules when they're going out in pallets of stuff. So myself and Fraser, who runs my office, we've been trying to disseminate this widely to MPs and MSPs so they can warn people, because I know lots of people are busy holding these kind of collections at present, and it's going to be difficult to send the stuff, so it's much better to send money to one of the reputable things like the Disasters Emergency Committee or something like that. Yeah.
Thank you. There are places it's more difficult to be a woman in Scotland, and it's, yeah. Yes, somebody suggested booking Airbnb with somebody in Ukraine, because then they get the money direct to them, don't they? And I think Airbnb are honouring all of this and encouraging it, aren't they? There's no fee. Buy stuff off Etsy, yes. Say that again, PDFs, things they don't have to post. Yes, that makes sense. There must be people that will get Patreon and that sort of thing set up as well. Well, if you know of anybody that's away, then share it around the feminist networks and see if we can help these women out. That is the end of our panel questions. I know. Well, you had every opportunity. I could keep talking, but I think the bar's open. So thank you to Dr. M and to Marion, and to Joanna, and Belstaffie, and Mara, and Caroline, and especially to the Forth Valley feminists. And to all of you, because I've had a lovely time just... I'm getting all greedy. I'm doing that thing that everybody's been doing all day, getting a bit teary. It's been really lovely seeing that the sisterhood is actually real. Yes, I'm just her mental. It's fine, it'll pass in a minute. Give me 2 days and I'll be fine again. So thank you very much for an amazing day, and we'll see you in the bar.